This year, my team and I have managed millions of dollars in ad spend for the Ecom brands that we work with. We've helped CRM Jewelers scale to over $1 million a month in revenue, increasing their ad revenue by 300%. We've helped DogTV to improve their ad revenue by 500% in just 60 days. And we've helped Institute of Human Anatomy go from nothing to a multi-six-figure a year run rate with their ads alone. Some of our strategies worked so well that we now religiously do them across all of our accounts. Other things that we believed going into the year have proved to not work so well. So I've compiled everything into the 8 lessons that I've learned this year that I think are most important and most implementable for your e-commerce brand today. So the first thing we learned this year was that listicles are one of the highest performing forms of landing pages for our clients. So listicles have been around for a while, but they're performing particularly well for us right now with the strategy that we're implementing. And there'll be more on that in lesson 2, where I tell you exactly how you can implement it with a clever trick to make your customers feel 10 times more understood in your ads. But first of all, what is a listicle? A listicle is an ad that's disguised as an article. So instead of sending people to a normal landing page that just shows your product, you would send people to a page that says, here are the top 5 ways you can do XYZ. So the top 5 ways you can take care of your skin this summer, or the top 5 ways you can help your pet have a longer, healthier life. The benefit of these landing pages is they will improve your average order value and they'll improve your conversion rate, because instead of people just going to a product page and the selling is sort of done, you're actually educating them so much more than another landing page would do, which means that by the time they get to checkout, they've got so much more buy-in with your brand and they've been educated so much more about what the purpose of your product is. Because throughout the listicle, you're going to be gently plugging your product to the customer. So instead of just telling them, hey, here's why you should buy my product, you start by telling them, hey, here's how you can get better skin, or here's how your pet can live a longer life. And your product becomes a solution to that within the article. And then at the end, it prompts them to go to the checkout page. So as I say, they're much more bought in. And for DogTV, this actually doubled their average order value and led to a 5 times increase in their ad revenue as well. So simply by adding better landing pages that spoke more to their customers and educated them more about the product, we were able to improve the revenue that they got from their ads by 500%. In Omic's case, their homepage was converting at sub 1%, and our advertorial funnel improved that to 2 to 3%. The one nuance for this is that your product has to solve a genuine problem and have quite a clear, unique mechanism. If it's something like a fashion brand, it's not going to really need a listicle unless it's got like a really clear USP. We have seen listicles and advertorials work well for fashion brands and other brands like that, but they really work best when you've got a product-based business who solves a very real problem. Now, lesson 2 follows on from this, and it's really interesting because it's about congruency. So it's incredible to me how many brands, even the biggest brands in the world, just send people to the same landing page. So they'd be running 200 ads in the Meta Ads library, spending multiple 5 figures a month on creative, but they send everyone to the same page. Now, what we found work best is we send people to the landing page that speaks to the same desire as the ad. So what that means is we'll start with 10 angles, for example, for a client. We'll run ads to all those different angles and see what's winning, see what's converting best. And if we find that angle A, angle B, angle C are the ones performing best, we will make landing pages that speak to those angles. So we might do, if we see that angle A is appealing to the desire of wanting better skin so that you can get a date, then we will make a landing page that also speaks to that same desire. So the benefit of this is that people aren't just clicking on an ad, feeling understood, and then going to a generic landing page and then you've lost them. Instead, they feel understood, that you've really hit their deepest desire in the ad, and then once they land on the landing page, you're continuing to make them feel understood, you're continuing to educate them, and they really feel like this product's been made specifically for them. So you have a much lower drop-off on the landing page. As I said, the AOV goes up, and you're converting a lot more customers, which means that your ROAS goes up and you make a lot more money. And this is exactly the strategy we implemented for DogTV, for Omic, and so many other e-commerce brands that we work with. And it's been one of the biggest levers that we've been able to pull to grow these brands this year. So remember, don't just vary your landing pages, but make sure that there's congruency between the landing page and the ad. If an ad is a winner and it's speaking to a specific desire, you want to make a landing page that you send that specific ad to, and that landing page needs to speak to the same desire as well. So there's never a drop off, there's never a gap in you speaking to your customers' desires. So lesson number 3, which at the beginning of the video I said is probably the best one we've seen so far this year, it's that whitelist ads are really the biggest cheat code when it comes to scaling. For CRM Jewelers, this has taken them to 10K a day, 10K days in spend. It's taken them to well over $1 million a month in revenue, and it's allowed us to 3x their ad revenue in just the first 3 months. You can see a video interview I've done with their founder on our website and on my YouTube, where we go deeper into the strategies we implemented for CRM Jewelers and explain exactly how we were able to achieve such crazy growth for their jewelry brand. But essentially, what are whitelist ads? So whitelist ads are when you run a normal ad through your ad account as you normally would, but instead of people seeing your brand on the ad when they're scrolling Instagram or they're scrolling Facebook, they see it appearing under the profile of a creator. So let's say you've got an influencer that's done a really good post about your product. They've done a really good piece of UGC. Instead of taking that UGC and running it from your account, where it would say like, Nike, and then it's got the ad there, it would go from their profile. So for example, LeBron James posting about Nike instead, and customers scrolling through Instagram or Facebook will be much more receptive to seeing a face of a human than they are to seeing a brand. Now, I know I've given a really big example there, which probably relies a lot on the social proof of someone like LeBron James, but this applies to you even if you've got creators with just 1,000 followers. Now, the reason for that is that people are scrolling on Instagram not wanting to see brands. When they see a logo and they see a company name, they're immediately turned off. And when they see even a creator with 1,000 followers, people are so much more receptive to that. They're so much more likely to click on an ad that looks like just a normal post from someone that could be a friend or a mutual friend, and it just looks like someone that's been recommended to them. And that's why these ads perform better, because right off the bat, you're stopping the scroll with so many more people than you were before, and it's a numbers game. More people watch your ad from your target audience, your ROAS is going to go up, you're going to get more people clicking and going to your landing page. Now, lesson 4 is one of the biggest things that we believe here at Loudline, which is research first before testing angles. So a lot of creative strategists, brands, CEOs, they go and they think, okay, why would my customer buy my product? And they'll go and they'll run ads speaking to those angles that they've just come up with in their head. Now, that's all well and good, but you're essentially stabbing in the dark. You don't know what's going to resonate most with your customers if you're just thinking of it on the spot. And a lot of the time you're wrong, and you have to do a lot of testing to figure it out. Now, what we do is we do the research first to cut that testing time down massively, because if you go and you scrape thousands of reviews from your competitor, or from even just your own reviews on different platforms like Amazon or even Reddit forums as well, see what people are saying in your industry, then you're going to start to, and you use AI to analyze it, or even manually look through them yourself or get your media buyer to do so, you're going to understand what pain points cause your customers to buy your products. You're going to see what language they use as well. Imagine analyzing thousands of reviews. We did that for one client, and we found that the word finally appeared in loads of reviews. So we started using that in the ads, and ROAS shot up. So really trying to review as many of your customers' reviews and understand their language as much as possible is going to have a massive impact on your account, because instead of taking months to find winning angles, you're going to be finding them much more quickly, because you're going to sort of be able to reverse engineer it and figure out in advance what angle is going to perform best on your account. Lesson number 5 is understand the different stages of the funnel that you're targeting. So I am completely shocked how many big brands I come across when we audit them that are just running offers on their account. And they think, they see a high ROAS in their account and they think, oh wow, this is great, this is growing my business. But they don't actually realize these ads aren't bringing in new customers. If I've never heard of a product, I don't care if it's 20% off, 30%, 40% off. Like I don't know what it is. Like I'm not even in the market. I'm not interested. I need to be sold to first. But on the brand side, they see these ads getting a high ROAS because their existing customers who are already going to buy anyway see the offer, purchase the product, they get the 30% discount. The client thinks, wow, this is really growing my business. I'm getting so much revenue from it. But what they realize a year, 2 years, 3 years later is their business has completely fallen off a cliff because they've not been bringing in enough new customers to their business. And you've got to treat this like any other basic principle in business, which is you don't just target your existing customers. You've got to increase your market share. So you've got to target people at every stage of the awareness funnel. It might be people who have the problem your product solves, but they're not aware of it yet. Or it could be people who know they have the problem, but they don't know that your solution exists. Or it could be people who've tried other competitors of yours and you need to convince them that you're better. So there's all these different segments of the customer funnel that you need to be targeting. And it's insane to me how many brands just target the bottom of funnel, or like majority of their ads are discount based, or they just speak to people who already know about the product and are already in the market for it. So for lesson number 6, it's that CPA is not as important a metric as you might think, and a lot of the time it lies. So what we found is that for brands, the most important thing is obviously repeat purchase rate and lifetime value, and CPA doesn't take that into account. What we found with the hundreds of brands that we've audited in the last year alone is that a lot of brands have a CPA in mind that they've decided based on the cost of their product is what they need to spend to break even. But not enough brands know their AOV or their LTV. They don't know their customer purchase rate, and they're not optimizing for those numbers. Instead, they've narrowed themselves to spending $20 or $30 to acquire a customer, which obviously doesn't allow us to scale as much as we could because we're limited to only scaling the account up to a $20 or $30 CPA. Whereas instead, if they focused on increasing their average order value and the lifetime value, and if they actually knew what those numbers were and how they varied over time, then we would be able to target a much higher cost per acquisition, capture more of the market share, and grow the business a lot quicker. And you will see that the biggest brands, they're able to spend so much more on acquiring customers because they've perfected their average order value, their customer retention, and their customer lifetime value is higher. Next, we've got AI creative. So this year, AI creative sort of crossed the line to becoming good enough for being run in ads. We now spend 5 figures a month on AI creative tools, but you need to take that with a pinch of salt because AI creatives should not replace everything. There's still an element of human authenticity that even Mark Zuckerberg said himself, that I reviewed in a recent video, that AI cannot yet replicate. So you want to use AI for things that you really cannot do with a human. So really crazy before and after transformations, cartoons, and like viral trends, such as recently there's been a trend of viral song ads in a cartoon format that people are using AI for. We did this actually with Mitchell brands, and I'll show an example here in a second. And those can work really well, but a lot of media buyers and brands are going too all in on AI, and it's not enough on its own right now. You really need to use it carefully and only use it where absolutely necessary, where it's replicating what a human cannot do. We're currently working on a really cool video for Obvi, one of the biggest brands in the e-commerce space. We're making a zombie ad for them, which would cost millions to produce with humans. You'd have to get a whole acting crew and a whole set. But with AI, we've been able to make it obviously a lot cheaper. And finally, lesson 8, I believe the actually easiest and most under-pulled lever is ruthless data analysis. So in most cases, you're going to have at least thousands of existing customers and thousands of historic purchase data in your Shopify store. Now, it's wild how many brands don't analyze these numbers. If you look deeply into your different purchases, you'll be shocked how much you can find. Now, I have an example that explains this really interestingly that I got from Charlie T and one of the talks he did, which is a steak restaurant. Now, if you have a steak restaurant and you saw that advertising your steak got you a 1x return on ads. Let's say your steak's worth $1,000 and it cost you $1,000 to acquire that customer. That's a 1x return. Let's say at the same time, you're selling one of your salads, one of your entrees for $30, or let's say you're selling it for like $70 and it's costing you $20 to acquire that customer. You would think that the salad is more profitable and you should scale it because you're getting a 3.5x on selling the salad, but you're only getting a 1x on the steak. But as a steak restaurant, you know that the steak is your best product. And when people buy your steak, they're going to keep coming back and getting more steaks. No one's ever really going to go back to keep getting a salad from a steak restaurant. It's not going to be their best product, and it's just obviously not going to be as memorable or as high quality an experience as the steak dinner is going to be. So what you'll find is most people would scale the salad and not the steak because they're getting a 3.5x versus a 1. But on the whole lifetime value, when you analyze thousands of customers, you will see that the steak on average brings back, let's say the average steak buyer comes back 10 more times to your restaurant. So actually your $1,000 on acquiring a steak customer is bringing you back $10,000 in sales. Whereas your salad is costing you $20 to acquire a customer, but it's only making you like $40 of profit because that salad only costs $70. So what we found is this happens across the board with so many e-commerce brands where it's not immediately obvious which product is your most profitable and which product is causing you to make the most money in the long term. And just blindly looking at ROAS and scaling that way is extremely inefficient. And a lot of the time, especially the more SKUs you have in your business, the more likely it is that you're missing a lot of these data points and you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Anyway, that wraps it up. Every one of those lessons points towards the same thing, which is that the winners in 2026 are not really thinking about just ad and creative, they're thinking more about the system. So analyzing the customers at scale, analyzing thousands of reviews to reverse engineer which desires to target, creating a system that has congruency from ad to landing page, targeting their customers through creators' profiles instead of their own profile. So this is how you really need to start thinking to compete with these brands because Mark Zuckerberg's automating a lot of the stuff on Meta right now, such as the ad creation, a lot of the testing. But the part that's still yours is your overall system that you're using to test your ads and to grow your brand. So that's what you're still in control of, and that's where you need to be spending your time. So we help brands implement pretty much everything that I've mentioned in this video. We're like a fractional CMO team for e-commerce brands. So that's why we don't just limit ourselves to ads or creative. We actually help you build these entire systems. We do probably the most comprehensive free audit in the e-commerce space, where we will deep dive your entire ads library, ad account, and build out a full growth plan for you, telling you exactly which of these strategies you should implement, finding a lot of money being left on the table in your ad account because of the wrong strategy, or for example, creatives not targeting every stage of the funnel. We'll analyze all these things for you, make one of the most comprehensive plans you'll ever see. And we do this to essentially show brands what we can do. And we know that over time, a lot of these brands come back to work with us, but it's no obligation. So you get one of those growth plans and you can just take it and implement it yourself. It's very no pressure, no obligation. And 9 out of 10 brands that have given us feedback on these audits have told us that they've seen a substantial increase in their ROAS by implementing what we've told them. So yeah, highly recommend you book one of those calls, and please subscribe to see my other videos where I tell you what we're learning across our accounts.